Hello everyone, this is part 42 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Oh crap. I'm leaving tomorrow, shouted Naruto as he began freaking out. In a frantic manner, he began shoveling old instant ramen bowls into a trash bag and some dirty clothes into a second trash bag. Ero-sennin did say he knows a seal to clean these, so I'll just seal them and bring them with me, he thought as he prepared to seal the bag full of dirty laundry in. When he went to get the laundry bag, something felt off. Oh crap, I tossed out the wrong bag, he said as he ran down to the trash room in his apartment complex to search for the bag of clothes he had thrown away by accident. A few minutes later, he returned back to his apartment, carrying the correct bag. Next on his agenda was to take a shower, especially considering he had just gone dumpster diving. After scrubbing the garbage off of himself, Naruto came back out a little more relaxed. He had managed to clean up all the trash off of his room and all that was left was to wipe the kitchen down and toss out any food he wasn't going to be eating. Thankfully, he had just the method that worked. Shadow clone jutsu, he said, and 3 clones popped into existence. You guys know what to do, right? The clones nodded and went on to perform their assigned tasks. You know, if clones can be used for menial chores like this, then I wonder why Barkan doesn't use them to do paperwork. Thought Naruto out loud. Roar, screamed Tsunade. Why doesn't this damned paperwork ever stop? Come on Tsunade-sama, it's not that bad, said Shizune, trying to comfort her master. Tsunade just shot her first apprentice a death glare. Fine, if you think it's not that bad, then why don't you try it? Shouted Tsunade, getting up from her seat and throwing Shizune into it. Shizune was now facing a mountain of paperwork. You see what I mean now? Hi, Tsunade-sama, said Shizune in defeat. For some reason, just sitting behind the desk made the paperwork look more intimidating than it originally was. Tsunade then proceeded to stomp over towards the pictures of the former 4 Hokages and looked directly at Minato's. How the hell did you do it? She growled at the picture. She knew that Sarutobi-sensei was swamped with paperwork, part of the reason why the civilian council had gained so much leeway, but Minato was a different story. It was widely known that Minato had discovered a way to combat the paperwork, and one of the biggest regrets Sarutobi had was not asking Minato to spill that secret before sealing the QB and S himself. Aku, sneezed Naruto. Why do I have this feeling some cranky old bat is buried underneath a mountain of paperwork? As it stood, his apartment was cleaned within 20 minutes with clones taking care of the kitchen and bathroom. The real Naruto had begun inspecting everything that he was going to be taking. He had 3 pairs of his shinobi outfit, including the pair that he wore. This consisted of the black pants, sandals, vest, and orange long-sleeved shirt. There were also those braces that he wore that had the kunai and shuriken seals on them. He had unsealed his sword from the Uzumaki sealing tome along with the scrolls that were not originally in there. It was also at this time where he remembered a promise he made to Sakura and began pulling out any scroll that has to do with medicine. You know, I need to figure out a way to modify them again to hold those knives Ero-sennin gave me. He gave me 5 of them, so that means 1 knife for each element. Now I just need to remake the seal so that I can easily access them when needed, contemplated Naruto, looking at his braces. I'll work on them while I'm away. Time to go and get those jutsu. I can't believe Ero-sennin's actually going to teach me fire and water jutsu. I'm going to be super awesome when I come back. With that, Naruto took off towards the Konoha archives where he would get those jutsu, and then he would probably find Sakura and give her the scrolls. Afterwards, it would be time to meet up with Hiashi. Yeah, he was going to be busy today. As he was leisurely walking through the village, Naruto couldn't help but notice the rock that was following him. He's still not getting any better, is he? Thought Naruto. Nope, replied Kurama. Naruto sighed. I know it's you, Konohamaru. Just what I'd expect from my rival. Shouted Konohamaru as an explosion sent the box flying upwards, revealing Konohamaru. Well, at least he got the gunpowder correct this time, thought Naruto. Yes, But now he's got to work on the trajectory of the box, said Kurama. Naruto just stared, confused by this. Look up. Naruto did so to see the box, which was originally shot upwards, begin to fall back down. Now come on. You said, ouch, shouted Konohamaru as the box landed square on his head. You want help with the shadow clone jutsu, finished Naruto while Konohamaru was rubbing the bump on his head. Yes, I've almost got it, shouted Konohamaru. Naruto sighed. This day was busy enough as it was. Fine, but I've got a few things that I need to do first. Meet me at Ichiraku's at 6 o'clock and I'll help you a little after dinner, said Naruto. You've got it, Naruto Naichin, saluted Konohamaru. Now, shouldn't you be in class? Iruka-sensei's going get pretty mad that you're skipping, said Naruto. What? Nah, he's perfectly fine with it. He won't even, said Konohamaru with a suspicious look on his face. All this time, Naruto was trying to hold back the laughter and looking directly behind Konohamaru. He's right behind me, isn't he? Naruto nodded. Konohamaru, shouted Iruka, using his big head no jutsu. Why aren't you in class? I was just transform, shouted Konohamaru. When the smoke cleared, in Konohamaru's place stood a busty young woman with thin wisps of smoke that barely covered the private areas of the female body. Iruka twitched as he fought back the oncoming rush of bee from his nose. From his experiences with Naruto back in the academy, he had built up a sort of resistance to the basic form of the S-jutsu. See out the nonsense and get back to class, shouted Iruka. Konohamaru sighed in defeat and dispelled the transformation. Don't worry, Konohamaru, I'll still meet up with you later, said Naruto as Konohamaru began walking back towards the academy. Konohamaru smiled. Right, see you then, boss. Naruto turned and grinned to Iruka. Sorry about that. It's kind of my fault he can use that, said Naruto, rubbing the back of his head. Iruka merely sighed. Just, never mind, said Iruka. I guess you're leaving tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, and before I forget, here's your vest, said Naruto, taking off Iruka's vest. Hey Iruka-sensei, think we can grab Ichiraku one last time during your lunch break? It'll be the last time before I leave. Sure, said Iruka as he walked back towards the academy to deal with the second generation of Naruto. Walking past the Hokage Tower, Naruto just barely avoided a chair that came flying out of the window. What's got Barkan's panties in a bundle? He thought, looking over at the chair, which somehow had an anime-style lump on it. Naruto just shrugged and continued on his way to the Jutsu archives to get his jutsu before heading to find Sakura and then over to the Hyugas. At the Jutsu library, he found a handful of jutsu that he wanted to learn, especially now that Jiraiya was opening him up to both water and fire elements. However, since he was leaving the village, he was only limited to what was written on the note Jiraiya had given him. The first wind jutsu he got was a jutsu called Futon, Swallow's Strike, and the second was one called Futon, Jade Storm Gale. He remembered Asuma-sensei mentioning the last one, although he never taught it to him, but Naruto found it interesting that he could use wind chakra to manipulate his weapons. The fire jutsus were relatively simple, given what he had to work with, so he just went with one that was familiar to him, and that was Sasuke's Kaiten, Great Fireball Jutsu. The water jutsu was the same way, and he went with something simple to start off with, choosing the Suton, Water Jet. They were nothing too flashy, but he figured they would serve as a good base for him to branch out. Perhaps Kurama knew some fire jutsu, and maybe some of those Uzumaki scrolls contained a water jutsu or two, since that was where he found his Futon. Heaven's Hammer and the Uzumakis were mainly either wind or water users in terms of ninjutsu. Okay, now that I got my jutsu, off to find Sakura and give her those medical scrolls, thought Naruto. Ino, is something wrong? Asked Sakura. The two were enjoying lunch at the local tea and dango shop. Sakura could obviously see that something was bothering her friend. Sakura, why did you decide to become a med nin? Asked Ino. Huh, why do you ask? Replied Sakura. It's just, I want to become stronger, but I don't really know where to begin, said Ino. Sakura merely smiled at this. I wanted to become a men-nin because that's where I felt I would succeed and be the most useful. When I was first starting off as a genin, Sensei had told me that I already had excellent chakra control, and he began teaching me a little bit of genjutsu. However, a few months later, he gave me a book on basic medical techniques. While I found both of them interesting, it was the medical jutsu that really piqued my interest. After that whole event with the sound, I realized just how far behind I had let myself get. I was useless during that fight and I nearly got Sasuke and myself K. Honestly, if I hadn't been in the way there, Naruto and Sasuke probably could have taken those freaks. But because of me, Sasuke and I nearly S, and the only reason we lived was because of, well, Naruto's tenant, said Sakura, recalling the painful memories of that day. Afterwards, I knew I couldn't just sit back and fawn over Sasuke, I had to push myself to become stronger, and that was when I asked Tsunade Shisho to take me as an apprentice. I see, but from how the exams went, you were amazing with the genjutsu. Are you just going to toss that aside and become a medic? Asked Ino. Nope. I know it will be a lot of work, but I asked Kurenai-sensei if she could continue to give me a few genjutsu lessons. I need to become as strong as I can get, and if that means learning both medical jutsus and genjutsu, then so be it. I need to use these 3 years to get as strong as I can before everything begins, said Sakura. Huh, what's going to begin in 3 years? Asked a confused Ino. Oh, that. Sakura's expression changed from a cheerful and determined expression to one a bit sadder. Both Sasuke and Naruto are being targeted by some really powerful enemies, that's why they're going on their trips. I won't let them face those enemies alone, and I won't let myself get in the way. I see, said Ino, matching Sakura's expression. Well, count me in then. Huh, said a confused Sakura. What, you really don't think I'm going to let you get ahead of me? I thought you were smarter than that, Billboard, playfully taunted Ino. TSK, I'm already miles ahead of you, Ino pig. Responded Sakura. Both girls began butting head like old times, but then burst out in a fit of laughter. Hey Sakura, what do you think I would be good in? Asked Ino. What, you honestly don't know? Sakura stiffened at the voice who just said that. She had gotten enough punishment from said voice in the past month or so. Turning around, both girls were face to face with Anko. Hey Anko-sensei, asked Sakura. The one and only Kanoiki in Konoha. Oh, and how's my cute little rabbit doing today? Grinned Anko as she finished off a stick of dango. For some reason, Anko had started referring to Sakura as rabbit during their training. It was most likely due to the way Anko would have her snakes chase Sakura around, kind of like they were chasing a rabbit, during the training. Sakura in turn, stiffened at that word. So, you don't know what to do ya? Well, just look at where you come from. You're a Yamanaka, which means interrogations in your B. Ino tilted her head slightly. She was aware of that, with her dad being the top interrogator in Konoha. But she had never really considered going into interrogation. Ino, I think Anko actually makes a good point. Weren't you solely responsible for your team passing the first test? Yeah, I guess I was. Ino smiled proudly. I also heard what you did to that prisoner afterwards. Oh, that was evil, and brilliant. Grinned Anko with a sadistic smile. What? He was a piece of trash who raped a girl. He had it coming, defended Ino. And that's exactly why you belong in interrogation and infiltration. You know how to get the information and you know how to make them suffer appropriately, said Anko. So what do you say, Piglet? Ha, you heard me. You've got potential to become AS and kicker interrogator, said Anko as some sort of pager went off. Well, I've gotta go make some bastards suffer. Talk to your father about it and get back to me when you've decided, Piglet. So what do you think, Sakura? Asked Ino. While Anko-sensei can be scary, I'd say go for it. She was right in saying that you do have potential in interrogation, and I think it would be your best course of action, said Sakura. However, I can ask Shizune if you can learn some basic medical jutsu as well, and now that I think of it, some medical knowledge might come in handy for interrogation. Well, I've got to get back as well. But honestly, think about it. It's not an easy process deciding what you want to dedicate yourself towards, said Sakura. On her way back to meet Tsunade, Sakura ran into Naruto. Sakura, shouted Naruto, getting her attention. Hey, Naruto, greeted Sakura. What's going on? Packing's a pain in the A, but it's getting there, replied Naruto. Right, so when are you leaving? Asked Sakura. Tomorrow after lunch, replied Naruto. Wow, it's going to get really quiet after tomorrow then. Sasuke's leaving then as well, said Sakura. Do you know where he's going? asked Naruto. Not exactly, but I guess there was some mention of specialized Anbu training bases scattered throughout Fire Country. My guess is to one of those, said Sakura. So what are you up to now? Well, I was looking for you to give these to you, he said, pulling out a bundle of scrolls. And then I've got to go meet Hiyashi for some reason. Sakura opened the scrolls. They are the medical sealing scrolls one found in Azushiogakur. You shouldn't have to worry about using them as those scrolls can be used by anyone. If by some chance, you need Uzumaki blood to open one or two of them, just ask Barkan. She should be able to do it, said Naruto. That's right. Sunshisho does have a little bit of Uzumaki blood, doesn't she? Commented Sakura. Naruto nodded. Thanks, and make sure you stop by the hospital sometime before you leave tomorrow to say goodbye. Don't worry, I will, said Naruto as he walked off towards the Hyuga compound. Yeah, things really are going to get quite around here, thought Sakura. Or would they? What the hell is he thinking of now? Commented Zabuza. Yosh. Time to find out whose youth is stronger, shouted Guy. Guy turned to Kakashi. Let's go, Kakashi. Huh, did you say something, Guy? Said Kakashi, completely ignoring Guy. Gah, your hipness really does get on my nerves, Kakashi. No wonder you are my eternal rival, yelled Guy. Help me, thought Zabuza. You are leaving tomorrow, so what better time than to have one last youth-filled challenge? Declared Guy as he pulled out 3 special suits that had Zabuza holding a kunai just inches away from his Konoha headband. Kakashi sighed. Okay, let's do this then. Doton, risen field of battle jutsu, said Kakashi, his hands into the ground. Immediately, the ground shook as the piece of earth that the 3 eternal rivals were on rose 100 feet into the air. The 3 of them were now standing atop a tall earthen pillar with a flat circular top, about 30 feet in diameter. Now hurry and put these on so we may begin our youth-filled battle, said Guy, tossing the suits to Zabuza and Kakashi and hurried him to put it on. He practically had to put on Zabuza's suit for him. So we are wearing a couple of baggy suit. What the hell are we supposed to do with these? Growled Zabuza. Guy gave his signature smile and grabbed a cord on the side of the suit. As he pulled it, a compressed air cartridge was released and the suit immediately began to fill with air. Oh hell no, shouted Zabuza when he saw what Guy was thinking. Guy tossed him a couple of inflatable sumo suits and the 3 of them looked like a couple of blown-up balloons wearing mawashis, the belt sumo wrestlers wear. Last man who doesn't get pushed off the edge wins. And that will be me. For if I don't, I will run 500 laps around Konoha on my hands while balancing Tenten on my feet. Somewhere else in Konoha. Aku, sneezed Tenten. Are you okay, Tenten? Asked Neji. You're not catching a cold, are you? No. But why do I have the feeling Guy-sensei just dragged me into one of his ridiculous antics? Replied Tenten. Lee, start it, shouted Guy as Lee jumped in the middle of the 3 sumo ninjas out of nowhere. Hi, Guy-sensei, said Lee. In this youthful companion, this is solely a companion of the body. No ninjutsu, no genjutsu, only taijutsu. If you are knocked out of the arena and onto the ground below, you are out. The last one remaining will win. Now, with all your youth, Hajime. As soon as Lee signaled the start of the match, Guy was racing towards Zabuza at full speed, colliding with him and causing the former Kiri ninja to bounce off of him and almost off the field of battle. No way in hell am I losing to a bloated buffoon, growled Zabuza. Despite the ridiculousness of this companion, his pride was still at stake here. He slid to a halt just before the edge of the arena came only to be locked hand in hand with Kakashi. So I guess this is the closest I'll get to a rematch for now, said Zabuza. Yep, replied Kakashi. Well then, don't expect to beat me this time around, said Zabuza, rooting himself and throwing Kakashi back into a charging Guy. The 2 bounced off each other and Guy was nearly thrown off. It seems there's some youth in my second eternal rival after all, declared Guy. Let's go, Kakashi, it seems like it's going to take our youth combined to bring down this challenger, said Guy, giving Kakashi the thumbs up. Oh sorry Guy, did you say something? Asked Kakashi as Guy began to heat up. That's the 2nd time already that your coolness has got the better of me. You truly are a worthy rival, Kakashi, said Guy. HMPH, fine. If you're not going to make a move, I will. declared Zabuza as he began to charge Kakashi and Guy. Unfortunately for him, he tripped on a pebble which caused him to fall. However, thanks to the suit, his fall turned into a roll as Zabuza barreled towards them as Kakashi and Guy just sat there like a pair of bowling pins. Zabuza collided with the Cyclops and Green Beast and the two were thrown out of the arena with a crashing sound. A dizzy Zabuza came to a halt just before rolling off of the arena. Both Kakashi and Guy were flung into some trees where they landed on top of each other in the form of an X. UHG, I feel sick, said Zabuza as he made his way to his wobbly feet. He then looked around and saw that he was the last one standing. Hey, told ya I wouldn't lose to a bunch of blown up buffoons. As Zabuza made his way down from the platform, Guy stumbled over to him. Yosh, you truly are a worthy rival. It's a shame Kakashi won't be here to partake in our youth-filled battles for the next 3 years. But no worries, you and I will only have to step up our campaigns to make up for Kakashi's missing youth. Zabuza's mind blanked momentarily at the horrors that he just realized he had been condemned to. No. Hey, sorry Zabuza, Zabuza. Asked Kakashi, smiling, rubbing his head in an almost Naruto-ish fashion. Kakashi, growled Zabuza. It didn't take a Sharingan to see the demon-like aura that was surrounding Zabuza. I'm going to beat the crap out of you so hard that you'll be forced to stay in this village. Kakashi just sweat dropped as he began to run for his dear life from an enraged Zabuza swinging his Kubakiribocho wildly in the air at Kakashi. Father, what are we doing down here? Asked Hinata. Her father had taken her down into the cellar below the Hyuga compound for some unknown reason. Don't worry, there are just some things down here that I want to get out of storage, said Hiashi as he opened a door. When Hinata stepped inside the room, she immediately knew what was in there. The first thing she saw was a portrait of her mother and father holding her as a baby. These are. Yes, everything in here was your mother's, said Hiashi. I don't know why I locked everything of hers away. Perhaps it just hurt too much to be without her. And then, the Hyuga head did something no one would ever expect him to do, he cried while he hugged his daughter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I've done to hurt you since she left. I never should have pushed my pain onto you. Please forgive me for the way I acted. Hinata was surprised by her father's apology, but she returned the hug. It's okay, Dad. I will always forgive you. Thank you. Now, can I please have a few moments alone? He said. Hinata stepped outside the room, leaving her father alone to his thoughts. Inside, Hiashi turned to another portrait that was hanging on a wall off to the side. This was the only family portrait that Hiashi had with both Hinata and Hanabi in it. It was painted just a few days before his wife passed. Despite knowing she was that portrait was the happiest she had ever looked. I'm sorry it's been so long. I've missed you and I still do, Hiashi said to the image of his late wife. I screwed up, and I almost screwed up to the point where I wouldn't be able to fix things. I neglected our daughter's happiness for the sake of my own pride and I feel disgusted by that. I hope that you can forgive me as I'm now going to do everything I can to ensure our daughters grow strong and happy. On that, I swear. Hikari, I will not neglect our daughters any longer. Taking a deep breath, Hiashi called in Hinata. Looking around, Hinata was happy to see that there were still things of her mother's that were in here. She was afraid that her father had trashed or destroyed everything to help alleviate the pain of losing her. Hiashi handed a smaller picture frame, about the size of an 8.5 x 11 piece of paper to Hinata. It was a picture of her when she was 4 with just her mother. The two were sitting in her mother's garden, both with genuinely warm smiles on their faces. Hinata's smile at that moment practically mimicked that from the picture as she took it from him. If you want, you can hang that one in your room. I have one of just after Hanabi was born that I'll give to your sister when she gets back from school, and I think I'm going to hang the big one in my study, said Hiashi. Hinata was overjoyed. Before this year, she was basically not allowed to have any decorations in her room as the clan didn't feel she deserved them, but now her father was practically shoveling things to decorate her room with into her hands. Hiashi walked over to a decorated sea and opened it to see what was inside. It's still in pristine condition, just like the day she wore it, he thought. He then looked at the contents of the sea and then over to Hinata. Maybe someday, but not today. I'll give it to her when that time comes around. After looking through some of the old family memorabilia, Hiyashi then began to dive into some of his wife's old shinobi scrolls and gear. Hinata curiously picked up a black book that most ninja knew as a bingo book. Hey, that old thing, said Hiyashi as he turned to a certain page in the book. He then handed it to Hinata and she read it through. Name: Tsukino Hikari. Age: 23. Gender: female. Village affiliation: Konohagakure no Sato. Rank: Jonin. Nickname: Midnight Tigress. Known associates: Crimson Fury, Alt OFN, aka Red Hot Habanero, Nighthawk, Alt OFN, aka a certain Uchiha's mother. Rank: A+. Skills: a highly advanced taijutsu user who utilizes a unique style of taijutsu known as the meisho. She is also a highly skilled wind user. Not much else is known, as encounters against her do not last long enough to gather sufficient data. Other: use extreme caution when confronting. Recommended not to engage unless in a team of 3 or more high Jonin level shinobi. Do not engage in close combat unless absolutely necessary. Hinata looked at the entry again and then to the picture listed in the bingo book. In the picture, Hinata saw a woman who looked like herself, only with longer hair and eyes that matched the color of her hair. That was while we were still dating and before we got married. Getting into the books was probably the biggest accomplishment to her, explained Hiyashi. She probably could have made S rank, but she opted to settle down and start a family. Hinata was shocked. She had never imagined her mother was such a skilled kunoichi. But that only made her want to be more like her mother, a woman who was strong yet kind. Hiyashi-sama, called out Ko, appearing at the front of the room. An Uzumaki Naruto is here to see you. I see. Thank you and tell him I will be there momentarily, said Hiyashi. I'll take this to my study and then we'll go see Naruto. Hiyashi lifted the large portrait of his entire family from the wall it was hung on, only to reveal a hidden compartment from behind the picture with a rather large scroll behind it. Hinata, will you get that scroll? Hiyashi was curious as to what that scroll was. It was white with some intricate kind of stripe-like markings on it. He would look at it later, but right now there was a certain blonde in the compound who you did not want to get bored. Hey, Hinata, called out Naruto from across the courtyard as he saw Hinata and her father emerge from the cellar. Hinata smiled and waved, but Naruto's attention was drawn to the scroll in Hinata's hands. Wow, where'd you get that summoning contract? Summoning contract? Asked a curious Hinata, looking down at the scroll. Hiyashi was equally confused until he finally realized what Naruto was talking about. Of course. Now I know what that scroll is, it's your mother's summoning contract, said Hiyashi, lightly bopping his forehead with his palm. Mother had a summoning contract? Asked Hinata, surprised. Yes, hold on, let me go put these old pictures in the house, said Hiyashi. A few minutes later, he emerged and Hinata was still staring at the scroll, wondering what sort of summon it was. So Hinata, where did you get it and are you going to sign it? Asked Naruto. Sign it? Asked Hinata. It was her mother's and yes, if she wants she can sign it, said Hiyashi. Hinata smiled at this as she placed the scroll on the ground and unfurled it. On the scroll, there were 4 blank name boxes on the scroll, indicating that there were no living summoners of the scroll. So what do I do? Well, first you sign your name in B and then press all 5 fingerprints down in one of those areas, said Naruto, already knowing how summoning contracts work from Ero Sennin. Hinata did as Naruto said and bit her finger. Okay, now you rub some B on your fingers and make the signs I, Inu, Tori, Saru, Hitsuji. And then you SR hand downward like this. Summoning jutsu. Yo, Naruto, called out Gamakichi. Since the last time Naruto had summoned Gamakichi, the small orange toad had grown quite a bit to the point where he was now almost up to Naruto's waist in height. What's up? Got any snacks? Naruto's sweat dropped slightly at this before unsealing a package of snacks for Gamakichi. I was just showing Hinata here how to do a summoning jutsu. She just found a contract. Oh, a new summoner. Come on let's see, said Gamakichi. Hinata blushed slightly at all the attention that was focused on her, but did as Naruto said. Summoning jutsu. Smoke appeared where Hinata placed her hand and when it cleared, a medium-sized orange tiger, which was slightly smaller than a large dog, appeared. It's been a while, Hikari. Wait, you're not Hikari, said the tiger, staring at Hinata. Hikari. Why you knew my mother? Asked Hinata. Well that would explain why you look a lot like her then, said the tiger. Wow! Exclaimed Hanabi as she walked through the gate to the Hyuga compound to see Hinata in the courtyard with a tiger. Did you summon him, Nisan? Hinata smiled and nodded. I take it you are their father and the younger girl is my summoner's sister. Asked the tiger to Hiashi. Hiashi nodded. And Hikari? I'm sorry, but she passed away some years ago due to health complications, said Hiashi solemnly. I see, then I am sorry for your loss. She was a great friend and most respected summoner, said the tiger. Hey Isamu, is that you? Asked Gamakichi. You two know each other? Asked Naruto. We've met once, said Isamu. How's the old toad doing? Still grumpy as ever, joked Gamakichi. Good to hear he's still croaking, joked Isamu. Gamakichi laughed a little at that. Now, I take it the reason I was summoned was to enter into a contract with, said Isamu. Hyuga Hinata, said Hinata. Yes, Hinata. Now I remember. Hikari mentioned that name when she was still pregnant with her fifth child, said Isamu. I then take it you were that child. Very well then, we of the Byako clan will agree to enter into a summoning contract with you. Hinata smiled at this. Thank you, Isamu-san, bowed Hinata. It's nothing. We look forward to working with the daughter of Hikari, said Isamu before disappearing. Yay! Nisan got a summoning contract. Cheered Hanabi. Now, why don't we go inside for some tea, said Hiashi as he gestured for Naruto and his daughters to go inside. Naruto, did you bring the items I asked for? I think so. All the scrolls and everything I got in a zoo I keep sealed in my book, so I should have everything, said Naruto. Hiashi nodded as they went inside. The four of them sat around a table in a somewhat awkward silence for the first few minutes. So Hiashi-sama, is there any reason in particular why you invited me over? Asked Naruto. Honestly, after remembering Sasuke's encounter with Kazashi, he probably should have kept his mouth shut. No, nothing in particular. From my understanding, you will be leaving tomorrow and I thought this would give up one last time to talk before you left, said Hiashi. Okay, so what is it you want to talk about? Asked Naruto. Does it have anything to do with my sword and some of my scrolls? In a way, yes. However, there is a question I want to ask you first, said Hiashi. Do you still intend to continue a relationship with my daughter? The entire room was silent for at least a minute. What? Why would you ask that? Of course I still want to be with Hinata, Tobayo. Declared Naruto. Hinata let out a breath that she had been holding ever since her father asked that question. I just need to be sure, you see, Hiashi was interrupted. Hiashi-sama, I have finished sharpening the Hyuga sword and it is ready for your inspection, said one of the servants, who came over to Hiashi and handed him a sword wrapped in cloth and an extra fine-grade whetstone. Immediately, Naruto stiffened as Hiashi pulled the sword out from the cloth wrapping. Hiashi examined the sword while Naruto began sweating. A fine job you did. The fine-tuning shouldn't take too much then, said Hiashi. He always liked to do the fine-tuning himself to get the sword the way he liked it. The servant bowed and left the room as Hiashi set the sword on his lap and began filing it with the whetstone in his hand. Now Naruto, the reason I asked was because well, you know how sensei is. Naruto nodded nervously as every pass with the whetstone caused Naruto to stiffen even more. So this is why Hiashi asked me to come, help, panicked Naruto. Hehe, this ought to be interesting, thought Kurama. I just need to make sure your loyalties lie undoubtedly with my daughter, said Hiashi with a stern look on his face as he glared into Naruto's very soul. If you wish to continue your relationship with my daughter, I just need to make a few things clear. Naruto gulped as Hiashi dragged the whetstone along the sword. First, I know very well that there will be certain temptations along your trip and you will meet many other women. It would be wise remember that my daughter is the only girl in your universe. Any women you may encounter along the trip, you should act as formal and neutral as possible. Second, you will be reaching that age very soon where young men begin to become interested in certain aspects of women. I suggest you refrain from picking up any of Sensei's less desirable habits. And lastly, understand that the Hyuga clan only recognizes the strong. While your recent accomplishments may have shown that you have some potential, you still have a long, long way to go before I see you at a satisfactory level, said Hiashi, as he made one last pass along the sword with the whetstone. He then felt the blade with his finger and proceeded to pluck a hair from his head. Using nothing more than gravity, Hiashi spit the hair straight down the middle with the sword. Perfect. He then looked over towards Naruto, who was now sweating profusely with his legs clenched tightly together and hands clasped over a certain area. Do you understand where I'm coming from? I do, said Naruto frantically, not taking his eyes off the very object, and man holding said object, that could very well end his future dreams at any moment. I won't do anything to disappoint you, sir. Good, said Hiashi as he sheathed the sword, much to Naruto's relief. Both Hanabi and Hinata were giggling at the way Naruto and their father were interacting. Now, as Ko informed you, there are a few items in your possession that I would like the opportunity to examine. In particular, a sword you may possess and what Sensei has informed me is a family tree. Oh, so that's the scroll you want to see, said Naruto as he pulled out his Uzumaki sealing book and released 2 of the seals he made in the back. The first was his own sword, which he was hesitant to hand over to Hiashi after the previous episode. The second seal contained the Uzumaki family tree scroll and also the quadrilateral Azuki hat that he came across. Is that? Asked Hiashi, looking at the hat. Naruto grinned. Yep, it's my great-grandfather's hat, smiled the blonde. Well, that just about answers that question, thought Hiashi. Naruto handed the scroll to Hiashi, who opened it up. On that scroll, most of the names were faded slightly, indicating that person had passed. The only name that was highlighted on that scroll was Naruto's. The scroll worked so that when someone placed a small bit of B in the seal on the lower right-hand corner of the seals in the scroll would immediately match up the person with the correct family tree. Once that person passed away, the name would remain, but it would fade to preserve the record while indicating that said person was deceased. So it is true, the main branch does still live, said Hiashi. Huh. Naruto looked at Hiashi confused. What are you talking about? Didn't Sensei tell you? I take it you know who your great-grandfather was, asked Hiashi. Yeah, he was the Shodai Mizukage, said Naruto. While that is true, I am talking from more of a clan perspective. In short, you are the last surviving member of the head family of the Uzumaki clan, said Hiashi. Wait, what? Asked a surprised Naruto. I said, you are the heir to the Uzumaki clan, repeated Hiashi. Okay, so what exactly does that mean? Asked Naruto. Well, first is that you'll have access to the head family's techniques. Every clan has some form of head family technique. Even the Hyuga has a set of head family techniques, said Hiashi. It will also make it easier for the clan to accept the relationship between you and my daughter. Head family techniques. You mean like the Kaiten and Yukin, 8 trigrams 64 palms, right? And how exactly will this make our relationship easier? Asked Naruto. No, those are main branch techniques, known by every member of the main branch, and Neji. There are a set of techniques that I alone know as head of the clan, and the only other person I will pass them down to would be Hanabi when she shows that she's ready, explained Hiashi. The head of a clan needs to be the strongest member of the clan so that they can effectively guide the clan and protect it when needed. That's why each clan has their own set of techniques that only the head family knows. If my suspicions are correct, then the Uzumaki head family techniques are in that book of yours. Wow, really? So the strongest Uzumaki techniques are in here? Asked Naruto. Hiashi nodded. This is awesome. I'm going to become really strong. Watch out Konoha, because when I come back, there'll be a new Hokage in town, Tobayo. Now, regarding your question about your current relationship. Now that Hinata is no longer the clan head, the elders will most likely be looking for suitable suitors to marry Hinata off in order to increase clan relations, said Hiashi. While certain village laws prohibit an arranged marriage without the consent of both parties, it will still be annoying nonetheless. With your status as an heir to a powerful clan, I can use that to keep the elders at bay. Marry, stuttered both Naruto and Hinata in surprise. Hinata instantly went red at the thought of marrying Naruto. Don't worry, she won't be getting married anytime soon. She's far too young as it is, said Hiashi. And as I said before, you may have potential, but you are still a long way away before you gain my approval. Hinata let out a disappointed sigh and Naruto let out a sigh of relief. Hinata was disappointed that her and Naruto wouldn't be getting married anytime soon, and while Naruto liked Hinata and enjoyed being with her, he was by no means ready to go that far with a relationship yet. Now then, about that sword, said Hiyashi. Alright, said Naruto, reluctantly putting another blade in Hiyashi's hands. Hiyashi unsheathed the katana and began examining it thoroughly until he was satisfied. I honestly never would have thought this sword would ever be seen again, said Hiyashi. The Azumaku Shio no Ken. Wait, so you know about it as well? Asked Naruto. I've heard of it. It's a legendary sword that ranks right up there with the Raijin, some of the more powerful 7 swords of the mist, and potentially even the sword of Kusanagi, said Hiyashi. That I kind of know already. So Ero Sennin said it had some sort of special ability. Do you have any idea what it might be? Asked Naruto. Hiyashi shook his head. Sadly, I do not. I've only heard the legends of it, but nothing about its abilities. However, this sealing matrix inscribed on the blade is very intricate and highly complex. I would imagine if you were to examine it, you might come across some clues as to what it can do. Okay, I guess that'll have to do for now then, said Naruto, taking back the sword. The 4 people there continued on with a little discussion regarding around what they were going to do over the next 3 or so years. Hinata had mentioned that she wanted to look some more into her mother's techniques and further develop her Yusho style, which everyone felt that was a good goal. Hiyashi saw that the Yusho had potential, and if Hinata were to expand upon it more, there was really no telling what it was capable. Hanabi, who was entering her 2nd year in the academy, didn't have too much on her mind, but she knew that since she was officially named the clan heiress, her father would be putting her through hell to train her. Hiyashi was trying to devise more ways in which to limit the elder's influence even more, and also what sort of brutal training regimens he should put Hanabi through to get her up to the standards of a clan head. Time eventually came where Naruto had to move on and finish whatever errands out of promises he still had to keep. Before leaving, Naruto could see the sad look on Hinata's face. She wasn't ready to say goodbye to him for a few years, and Naruto figured he would have to do something to try and cheer her up. Hey Hinata, I don't suppose I could ask a favor of you? Asked Naruto. Hinata picked her head up to look at Naruto. Whatever it is, you can ask me, said Hinata sweetly. Naruto then took out his book again and placed the unsealed Azukage hat on her head. Think you can look after my hat for me? Asked Naruto. That way, I'll have to come back to you to get it. Think of it as me promising that I will return to you. Hinata cheerfully smiled. I'll hold you to that promise. And I'll keep it, no matter what, declared Naruto. He tried to go in for AK, but was stopped in his tracks by a glaring Hiyashi. I leave tomorrow just after lunch. You'll know where to find me. Just stop by after training. Hinata nodded. She would get one last K out of him before he left, but with her father around, it wasn't going to happen today. As Naruto was walking through the village, he received a few greetings from some of the villagers, indicating that the really were beginning to open up to him. He also passed some of Konoha's bathhouses, which was on the way from the Hyuga compound, and sitting on top of one of the houses was Jiraiya, telescope in hand and giggling pervertedly. Why do I have a feeling Hiyashi's going to K me when I come back? Thought Naruto, looking up towards Jiraiya again, who had just been noticed by the women in the bath and was now dodging countless objects being thrown at him. Oh yeah, because Ero Sennin's the biggest pervert in the world. Great, what the hell am I getting myself into? He finally came to the gate of the village where he saw the Suna trio and Shikamaru. So you guys are leaving, huh? Asked Naruto as he walked up to them. Yup. About time we get back to our own village. We've still got to find out if either of these 2 made Chunin, said Kankuro, pointing to his brother and sister. Really? Well, good luck to both of you, said Naruto. It was now time to have a little fun. So what did you think of the festival last night? It was great. I'll say, you Konoha people sure know how to celebrate, said Temari. Good, I'm glad you and Shika had fun together, said Naruto with Shikamaru shooting him look. The 2 of you actually looked kind of cute together. What? Objected Temari. Kankuro was trying to hold back a laugh, and even Gaara had a smile on his face. Like I'd ever go out with that lazy bum over there. Troublesome blondes, retorted Shikamaru. Hey, shouted both Naruto and Temari. Damn, she's a feisty one, thought Shikamaru. Oh come on now, you can't tell me you 2 enjoyed snuggling together last night, said Naruto. Both Shikamaru and Temari turned a little red. How the hell did he find out about that? I thought we were alone, both Temari and Shikamaru thought. One of Naruto's Sasuke clones had escaped his fangirl last night and decided to take a stroll around town before dispelling. After racking up Naruto a large bill at Ichiraku, the clone somehow stumbled upon the two lying on a hill with Temari in Shikamaru's arms. Naruto was mad at the clone for the Ichiraku splurge, but figured that little bit of dirt was well worth it. Why you little runt, growled Temari, reaching for her fan. Before she could use it to clobber Naruto, Gaara had used his sand to save his first true friend. Don't worry, I won't tell, said Naruto. You had better not, said Temari. It'd be too troublesome if anyone else found out, especially Ino. Shikamaru shivered at that very thought. If Ino found out, any hopes of keeping his new relationship a secret would be long gone. Naruto grinned a little. Temari turned back towards her bothers and a devious grin was plastered on Kankuro's face. Before Kankuro could think any further, Temari's fan found his head. Whatever you're thinking, stop or I'll beat the crap out of you even more, threatened Temari. In the midst of these antics, Gaara turned to Naruto and offered the blonde a hand. Thank you for everything, Naruto. It was because of you that I can finally say I have friends. Hey, I don't really know what to say, said Naruto, rubbing the back of his head before returning the handshake to Gaara. But anyways, take care. Gaara turned around to join his siblings, who were now starting on their 3-day journey back to Suna. If it's on your way, you should stop by Suna sometime on your trip, called out Kankuro. Will do, said Naruto. Kiba and Shino were on their way back from a meeting with Kurenai-sensei. With the Aberrane compound being the closest, which was where they arrived first as Akamaru bolted off around to the back of the compound. Is something on your mind? Shino asked Kiba. Not really, replied Kiba. However, to those observant enough, they could tell Kiba was hiding something. You should say whatever it is on your mind. That is what part of being a team is about, said Shino. It's just you and Hinata are already Chunin and yet I'm still a Genin. I don't know, I feel like I'm falling behind, said Kiba. Perhaps. But all that means is that you need to rethink your training and push yourself harder. Look at Naruto, he was the last in the academy, and yet he's probably the strongest out of all of us, said Shino. Why? Because whenever he was down, he'd always pick himself back up and find a way to become stronger. Yeah, you're right, said Kiba, letting out a sigh. All I do boast about how good I am and then get Maya handed to me. Perhaps it's time I really start pushing myself to get stronger. He thought back to his prelim match against Yugito, and forward to the match between Naruto and Sasuke. He had gotten his handed to him by Yugito and then the match between Naruto and Sasuke was really what showed him how far behind his skills were lacking. He really was a dog that was all bark and no bite. Precisely. Push yourself to improve and I'm confident you'll get a lot stronger. Even Hinata and I would be glad to help you. Why? Because we are a team and that's what teammates do. They help each other improve, said Shino. Hey, thanks Shino. And don't worry, I won't remain a Genin for long. By the time the next Chunin exams come around, Akamaru and I will have worked our off and proven that we really are strong, said a determined Kiba. I believe you will, said Shino. The two came around the back of the Aberrane compound where Akamaru had gone to greet Fu. Kiba, Shino, greeted Fu. Yo, waved Kiba. How are you feeling? Asked Shino. Much better. Hokage-sama said that I'm fully recovered, which is great. I've been asked to stretch my wings for days, said Fu as her wings sprouted from her back and she was airborne seconds later, barely dodging a tree doing so. Hey, guess I've still got a ways to go with my control. Her first few days in the Aberrane compound had been more than enjoyable. All of them seemed very accepting of Fu and the most she had to deal with, regarding her status as a Jinchuriki, was some of the Aberranes asking what the Nanabi was like. They weren't afraid of either Fu or the Nanabi, and they easily welcomed her as family. After seeing the Suna trio off, Shikamaru joined his sensei and Chuji at barbecue for dinner. As always, Chuji was eating his fill and depleting Asuma's sorry wallet. Asuma-sensei, after this do you think we could go and train a bit? Asked Chuji. Train? But it's starting to get late, replied Asuma. I know, but I need to get stronger. Everyone else is going to be getting stronger and I can't continue to slack, replied Choji. Asuma smiled while lighting up a cigarette. It was about time Chuji finally got some resolve. I suppose we could train a little bit tonight, replied Asuma. Right. With that, Chuji scooped up all the remaining pieces of meat on the grill and placed them on top of a large bowl of rice. Let's go. You know, Konohamaru, that S-jutsu isn't going to do it anymore, said Naruto as they walked from Ichiraku towards one of the training grounds. Wait, do you mean that you have something better? Asked Konohamaru as his eyes lit up at the prospect of an improvement to the S-jutsu. Perhaps, grinned Naruto. Well actually, you already know about my harem jutsu, but you can't do that until you can make a lot of shadow clones. Well then, a lot of shadow clones coming right up, shouted Konohamaru. Wait, don't, said Naruto, trying to stop Konohamaru. It was too late. Shadow clone jutsu, called out Konohamaru. To Naruto's surprise, a perfect clone of Konohamaru's popped into existence. Yes, I did it. UHG, I feel dizzy. Konohamaru collapsed to the ground as the clone dispelled. Wow, he got the shadow clone jutsu down already, but his chakra reserves are nowhere near the point they need to be to use it. That one clone took everything out of him and he barely was able to hold it for 5 seconds, thought Naruto, impressed at the young Sarutobi. He went over to see if Konohamaru was still conscious and Konohamaru began to stir. Did you see that, boss? I did it, he said wearily. Yeah, that was impressive, Konohamaru, said Naruto. But I'm afraid you can't use that jutsu yet. What? But you saw me. I made a clone, shouted Konohamaru. I know, and that was good, but the truth is you don't have the chakra reserves required to use that jutsu effectively, said Naruto. That's why that jutsu is forbidden, is because of how much chakra it uses. I'll tell you what, by the time I get back, if your chakra reserves are enough to handle that jutsu, I'll tell you a few secrets about it, but don't use it until you know for sure your chakra reserves are large enough to handle it, okay? Okay boss, you've got it, said Konohamaru. I'll just have to come up with an even S version of the S jutsu without it. It seems my young apprentice has been sharing the secrets behind that jutsu from Kami himself, thought a certain white-haired man who was spying on his student, again. Oh yes, this definitely is going to be an interesting trip. Some secret lair. Orochimaru-sama. What is it, Kabuto? Hissed Orochimaru as Kabu came charging into Orochimaru's chambers. The snake had one arm bandaged that Kabuto had managed to regrow somehow, however, the chakra flow through that arm was severely lacking and it would be near impossible for Orochimaru to use it for casting jutsu. The other arm was just a stump that Kabuto was also trying to regrow, but with a stronger chakra network. Sir, the experiment was a success and the subject is displaying evidence of both blood limits, reported Kabuto. The grin on Orochimaru's face grew 3 times larger. Kakuku, so it seems that Uzumaki scroll was of some use after all, chuckled Orochimaru. Yes, but unfortunately the 2 donors did not survive the procedure, said Kabuto. Shame, but if we were able to put both bloodlines into a single body, then it was well worth it, said Orochimaru. So tell me, Kabuto, which 2 subjects did you use to donate their bloodlines to? Kabuto whispered something into Orochimaru's ear and the snake Sanen's eyes grew wide. An interesting combination. An interesting combination indeed. Yes, and there might be a possibility that the 2 blood limits combine into something more, said Kabuto. Kakukaku, oh what a find that scroll was, said Orochimaru. Sir, shall I continue with further experiments? Asked Kabuto. Yes, but tread carefully. Seeing as we lose the original bearer of the bloodline, we have to proceed carefully and cannot afford to waste anyone, said Orochimaru. Yes sir, I will also begin looking into ways to obtain other bloodlines, said Kabuto. You know, it's a shame really, said Orochimaru, a thought coming to his head. What is? Asked Kabuto. You remember those experiments I did trying to infuse the Shodai's cells into children to see if any one of them exhibited the Mokuton? Asked Orochimaru. Kabuto nodded. Yes, I suppose it really is a shame none of them survived. But if I may ask, what were you thinking of? It's just a legend, but something that had intrigued me for years. Apparently, there is an incredible power that is awakened, one that hasn't been seen since the Sage of the 6 Paths, when the Uchiha's Sharingan and the Shodai's Mokuton are combined, said Orochimaru. So I see you are still set on going after Sasuke then? Asked Kabuto. Of course. I would have had him had that oath Jiraiya not shown, And even then the only reason why I lost was because I was careless. When I transfer to my next vessel, I will find that fool, and I will crush him, growled Orochimaru. If I may, who will be your next vessel, Orochimaru-sama? Asked Kabuto. Cuckoo, that all depends on your results over the next few years. 2 blood limits, I can just taste it now, delicious, grinned Orochimaru with his evil grin. I won't disappoint you, Orochimaru-sama, said Kabuto. Cuckoo. That scroll was a lovely gift indeed, said Orochimaru. Once I get a new, stronger body, nothing will be able to stop me from achieving my goals and Sasuke will finally be mine. A Wagakur no Sato. Tsuchikage-sama. Surely we have to do something. If Namikaze truly is alive, then there's no telling just how big of a threat he'll become, warned a man. We can't just let him get away with M15 of our shinobi. Said another man. Yes, this revelation certainly is troubling news. Are you certain he's a Namikaze? Asked Onoki, the Sandaime Tsuchikage. Onoki was handed a picture that had been taken during the match between Naruto and Sasuke of Naruto donning one of the infamous tri-pronged knives. Those knives, and he even looks a lot like him. Damn it. Very well, said Onoki as he made a signal to one of the Anbu inside his meeting room. About 15 minutes later, a squadron of 3 Iwa Anbu entered the room. Only 3. You can't be serious. The yellow flash alone was able to take down an entire army. Reasoned one of the men. I am aware, and it won't be just these 3, said Onoki. Well, who else are you sending then? The man was off before he could finish as a giant in red armor came through the door to the meeting hall. The men in the hall looked towards the giant with a mixture of fear and hatred. What the hell do you old bastards want of me now? Growled the giant. The 3 Anbu moved next to the giant. The 4 of you are to hunt down and kill this person, said Onoki, handing him a picture of Naruto. PHT, and why the hell would I do that? Scoffed the giant. What do I owe all you? You're the ones who F over my life. If that's the case, then why don't you just get out of here, you freak? Yelled one of the men. Because if I just left, I would be labeled as a missing nin and you would hunt me to no end like the dogs you are, replied the giant. If you do this, if you kill this person, I'll let you leave. You won't be marked a missing nin, you'll be free to go, said Onoki. Han thought about it for a moment and then reached over to take the picture. It's only a brat. You can't take care of a simple brat. Who is this? His name is Uzumaki Naruto. However, we have strong reasons to believe he may be of Namikaze descent, said Onoki. Namikaze, you say? Wasn't the bastard who leveled your entire army a Namikaze? Asked the giant, laughing a little. And you can see why we need him then. We cannot allow that line to continue, said Onoki. So what do you say, Han? Fine, I'll do it, said Han. He turned to the 3 Anbu. Let's go, the quicker I kill that brat, the quicker I can get out of this hellhole. Tsuchikage-sama, you're not seriously letting him go. He's the Jinchuriki of the Gobi, said one of the Tsuchikage's shinobi advisors. The Anbu know what to do when the kid is K. Don't worry, assured Onoki. Kumogakur no Sato. Brother is not happy yo, said B, whose team had gathered to discuss the results of the Chunin exams. Out of his entire team, only Yugito received a promotion seeing as Karui didn't even make the finals and while Omoi may have won his second match, the Raikage didn't quite feel he was experienced enough, something that was new as Kumo was now becoming more strict on who they allowed to be promoted to ensure that those promoted were actually worthy of their rank. I honestly can't believe he did that to Konoha. They really didn't seem like too bad of people, said Yugito. You tell that to the bastard that nearly gave me a heart attack. Responded Karui. So what exactly is going to happen? Asked Yugito. B handed her a black book that was an unpublished version of Kumo's bingo book and opened to a page with both Naruto and Sasuke's picture on it and a few of the other Konoha participants in the exam. However, the most surprising thing was that the orders on them were to capture them alive. It was obvious that the Raikage wanted to get his hands on their blood limits. While the Uzumakis didn't exactly have a true blood limit, many of their most powerful seals were gated by blood seals, making their Fuinjutsu abilities sort of an artificial blood limit as only an Uzumaki could use them. This is crazy. The Raikage is going to risk further destroying relationships between Kumo and Konoha if he goes through with this. Why the hell is he going through with this? Those Konoha guys never came off as bad people, and Naruto even saved us the trouble of having to deal with an enraged Jinchuriki, thought Yugito. True, kitten. The Raikage just feels threatened by them, and look at it this way, it's a capture order, not a K order. You do have to admit some of those Konoha guys were kind of hot, teased the Nibby. What? Asked Yugito. I saw you checking some of them out. So which one is it? Perhaps if you're lucky, the Raikage will let you have one to play with. Shut up, Nibby. You've got it all wrong. Denied Yugito, turning red at the Nibby's playful taunts. Oh, come on now. Stop denying it. Yugito, is everything okay? Asked Omoi, who noticed Yugito kind of zoned out and even began to blush at the Nibby's teasing. Yeah, everything's just fine, said a frantic Yugito, trying to simply shrug off everything the Nibby just said to her. Omoi just decided to leave Yugito to herself. So what do we do, B-sensei? If we let the Raikage go through with this, then that could send relations with Konoha downhill, or it could even lead to war. What if we were all K? What if? Oh, stop overreacting, yelled Karui. I'll deal with brother. He's always been hard in the head, ya know, but Killer B will see it through, yo, rapped B. Akatsuki hideout. All of us meeting here together like this, spoke a shadowy figure. We haven't done this since 4 years ago, when Orochimaru left the organization. Last I heard he was after your little brother, Itachi, said another figure. But then again, Orochimaru was always a complete failure. It doesn't really matter, one day, Orochimaru will be K, said yet another figure. But more importantly, what do we do? Our ambitions will be more successful if we move all at once. Use these next 3 years to prepare yourselves for once we meet again, our plans will move forward in full, said another shadowy figure with purple rippled eyes. An underground section of Konoha. Danzo-sama addressed one of Danzo's root operatives. Torun, do you have anything to report? Asked Danzo. Yes, it is something that I believe you will find most intriguing, said Torun. It appears as if there is another Jinchuriki in Konoha. Danzo's uncovered eye lit up. Another Jinchuriki. Where and which one? Her name is Fu and she is the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi. Currently, she is residing at my clan's compound, which is how I came across this information, reported Torun. Well, this certainly is news. I never imagined Tsunade would get Konoha another Jinchuriki. If I can find a way to control her, then she could make for a fine weapon one day, thought Danzo. Thank you, Torun. That information was most enlightening. What are your orders, Danzo-sama? For now, merely observe her and report everything to me. We will move forward with whatever plan once we have enough information to formulate one, said Danzo. Hi, said Torun before leaving to continue his new assignment. Most interesting indeed. Not only is there the QB Jinchuriki, but the Nanabi Jinchuriki as well within Konoha. They will most certainly make powerful weapons of mine once I can find a way to teach them to control the powers sealed within them, thought Danzo. It's a shame I still have to wait 5 more years before using that jutsu again. It would be perfect for securing one of my ultimate weapons. Konoha. It was late at night, or very early in the morning, whichever way you look at it, and Sakura was taking a walk near the north gate of the village. She didn't exactly know why she was taking a walk, and she probably should have just gone home if she wanted to make sure she didn't sleep through Sasuke's or Naruto's send-off, but for some reason she just couldn't sleep. It was then that she got her answer when she saw a familiar figure walking towards her with a pack on. Sasuke? Asked Sakura, snapping awake. Why are you out here in the middle of the night? Asked Sasuke. I don't really know. She then took a look at the pack on Sasuke's back. You're leaving, aren't you? It was either leave now, or be swarmed with fangirls in the morning, retorted Sasuke. As to why you're here, I'm surprised you didn't notice the genjutsu I put on you that made you come here. Perhaps I didn't want to notice, replied Sakura, making Sasuke smile a little. It was then that Sakura began to cry a little before she ran over to Sasuke and hugged him. I guess there's no avoiding it anymore, you really are leaving. Yeah, it's something I've got to do. I'm not going to get stronger by being chased around by horny fangirls 24 out of 7, said Sasuke, earning a small giggle from Sakura. I know. It's just 3 years. It's going to get really quiet around here. I wish I could go with you, but I know you have to do your own thing for now and I've got to do mine, said Sakura. Don't worry, I'll be back, Sasuke wasn't able to finish his sentence as Sakura pushed her K onto him. After a few moments, Sasuke slowly pulled away as it was time to go. You know, you really can be annoying sometimes, but for some reason, I don't mind. Sakura smiled a little at the joke. Sakura, thank you, for everything, said Sasuke before walking away to begin the next step in his journey. If fighting to protect someone is what truly makes a person strong, then I will become strong. I will protect them, from Orochimaru and especially you, Itachi. Naruto, Hinata had come to the top of the Hokage monument where Naruto was sitting on top of his dad's head after getting one last bowl of ramen for lunch with Iruka. Upon seeing the blonde there, she ran over to him, wrapping herself around them. Had Naruto not been holding onto the stone with chakra, there would be a very good chance the two would have been sent tumbling off the Yondaim's head. I know, I'm going to miss you too, said Naruto, returning the hug. But as I promised, I'll be back and I'll be stronger than ever. I know you will and I'll be looking forward to the day you come home, said Hinata, going in for the K that her father had denied them. She held the K as long as she could, trying to get 3 years worth out of just 1 K. But sadly, all good things come to an end and their K had to end as well. Come on Haim, walk with me to the gate, asked Naruto. Hinata smiled and took Naruto's hands as they walked down from the monument. Naruto, what was with all the seals on the monument? And why are your hands red? Asked Hinata. Oh that, said Naruto with that mischievous grin as he rubbed the back of his head. That's a surprise. As they reached the gate, all the members of the Konoha 14, minus Sasuke who had left already, the Jonin senseis, Iruka sensei, Suand, Shizune, and Jiraiya were waiting for him to see him off. Hey guys, what are you all doing here? Asked Naruto, acting oblivious. What do you think? We're here to kick your Sasuke out of the village, joked Kiba. Ha ha, replied Naruto in a sarcastic tone. Yeah, just joking, replied Kiba. So I guess you're off then Naruto? Asked Tenten. Yep, I guess so, replied Naruto. Naruto, may your flames of youth grow even brighter along your travels, declared Lee. Yeah, what Lee said, only less flames of youth, replied Tenten. Naruto, I wish you well on your trip. When you return, I would like a rematch, said Neji. Sure. Anytime Neji, replied Naruto. Take care, Naruto. And let me know if you come across any delicious ramen, said Chuji. You bet, said Naruto. Just make sure you come back. It gets a little too quiet around here when you're not around. It really is troublesome, said Shikamaru, earning a laugh from most everyone. Yeah, just don't cause too many problems while you're gone, said Ino. Oh come on, you know me, replied Naruto. Yeah, that's what we're worried about, joked Kiba. Anyways, just train hard because I want to beat you at full when you come back. From one comrade to another, I wish you the best on your trip, said Shino. Naruto, thank you. Because of you, I actually have a chance at life, said Fu, holding onto Shino's arm. You taught me the true meaning of living and helped both me and Zabuza-sama out. For that, I thank you as well, said Haku. Shikamaru's right, it's going to get really quiet here without you, Naruto, said Sakura as she gave Naruto a goodbye hug. Just make sure both of you come back safely. Thanks Sakura, grinned Naruto. Naruto, good luck with everything, said Iruka. Don't worry Iruka-sensei. And when I come back, I'll buy you a celebratory bowl of ramen for making Jonin, said Naruto. I look forward to it, replied Iruka. Now, make sure you use this trip to train, and you had better not pick up any of your sensei's less desirable traits. One pervert's enough. Also, I want you to start eating a few other things besides ramen. You're going to be hitting a growth spurt here soon and if you don't get the proper nutrition, you won't grow properly, said Tsunade. Come on, Barkin. I won't become a pervert and there's nothing wrong with ramen, said Naruto. He then turned to Hinata, who practically threw herself at him one last time, giving him one last K. A few AWWS, one whistle from Kiba, and one Neji trying his best to resist the urge beat the blonde to AB pulp later, Naruto was beside Jiraiya. Well, it looks like I'm off. I'll see you all in 3 years, said Naruto as he looked up towards the Hokage monument. Watch me. I'll come back even stronger and make you proud, Dad. TBC. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.